Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Pascoe, and this video is all about the 6th chakra. In this video, I will discuss the mind, body, and energetic qualities of the 6th chakra. I will discuss imbalances in the 6th chakra, and I will also offer holistic strategies in case you find yourself out of balance. The 6th chakra is the third eye chakra, and the Sanskrit name for this is Ajna, which means to perceive and to command. And so this chakra is all about the mind. The third eye, the mind's eye, is often referred to as in the center of the forehead, but more technically, it's in the middle of the skull if you were to come in from the sides and in the front and the back. And so much of the energy of the 6th chakra is about the mind. The entire chakra system is based on development. And we've gone through all of the lower chakras. The first three are primarily about the body. The first, establishing life. The second, giving feelings to move into life. The third, giving some autonomy and self-esteem to how you're going to do life. And then the heart, of course, love. And the fifth, being able to express your truth. So we established the physical side of the chakras. And now, as we continue to move through that development of the chakra energy, we're refining the person more and more with each of these energies. So the 6th chakra energy starts to develop during adolescence. And when this happens, it coincides with so much rapid development of the brain. So from a technical perspective, it's all about the brain development. During the adolescent years, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's associated with making decisions and understanding consequences and abstract thinking, is becoming more developed. And in that, then, the 6th chakra energy of that person is developing. The person is being able to understand life more, being able to make decisions, be able to have discernment, having the capacity for insight and understanding, learning how they perceive their life and the effect that that has on their well-being. So the purpose of the 6th chakra energy throughout this development of the chakras is to offer that individual insight, wisdom, imagination, perception, knowledge, focus, concentration, all of those elements. The 6th chakra is associated with the element of light. So we've moved through the 5 primary elements, physical elements, and now we're into the element of light. It's associated with the 6th sense because the first 5 chakras have been associated with the 5 primary physical senses. And now we've moved into the 6th sense, the sense of just having that deep within innate understanding. It's associated with the color of blue, or more specifically, indigo as a shade of blue, a real rich blue. The body parts primarily associated with the 6th chakra. And again, we've kind of moved through most of the physical chakra energies. So it's still, the 6th chakra is associated with the mind, the brain, the eyes, the third eye, the forehead, pretty much anything in that area. A healthy 6th chakra, when someone has an imbalance, healthy 6th chakra, it looks like someone that has the ability to focus and concentrate, someone that has imagination, creativity, has the ability to perceive events as they are. Someone with a healthy 6th chakra has the ability to direct their mind on and off of specific topics or ideas or thought. Someone that has an imbalance and that their 6th chakra is out of balance, I always break these up between excess of energy, just too much energy flowing through that part, or deficiency. So as far as imbalance in the 6th chakra excess, that's someone that has a lot of distraction. They can have delusions, hallucinations, obsessions, anything that you think about, just too much energy flowing through the mind. Intrusive thoughts would also be classified here. Someone that has an imbalance that is more of a block and therefore a deficiency is someone that has more of attention, inability to sustain attention, inattention. Someone that lacks creativity, lacks imagination, has a hard time shifting thoughts from one another, has a difficulty with learning and comprehending information, would also be a sign of a block and a deficiency. And other signs of blocks would be things like poor memory, difficulty sustaining concentration, difficulty taking information and keeping it and being able to recall it later. Reasons for imbalance. When we discuss this, we kind of look to the original developmental stage of what was happening when this primary energy was forming, which is, of course, during adolescence. And of course, that is a broad category of time, is adolescence. Basically 10 to 20 is roughly that category. And so much could happen during that time. But the things that really could cause these imbalances, if someone is not offering opportunities to learn, someone's learning is restricted, someone is not provided an opportunity to learn in the way that their mind tends to learn, someone that is told that they're wrong for the way that they're thinking. So having an environment that's not very open to creativity, to imagination, to thoughts, to thinking any other way than a very specific way of thinking. Those all can be reasons. And again, it can happen at any time, even beyond that adolescent phase. You can find yourself in an imbalance for those reasons, being in an environment that you're not allowed to use your mind in a healthy and natural way, discouraged from exploring, from learning, to considering, to holding space for thought, or an environment that's so overwhelming, there's never a chance to actually process information that's coming in. As a holistic psychologist, some of the things that I see that would indicate the imbalance is a lot of times the reasons that would come in to my office for that is, number one, is any distraction issues, where someone is having a very difficult time being able to sustain their attention or direct their attention and their focus. That's very common. And of course, some of that can be 6th chakra energy disruption. Anybody that's having delusions or hallucinations, of course. And of course, that's more of a medical issue. Not that therapy can be beneficial, but that is an absolute medical issue and needs to be treated as such. Someone that's having a lot of obsessions, OCD type things would be things that I would also see. And because I am a holistic psychologist and because I've taught yoga for 28 years, long time, a lot of times, people that have been understanding about the chakra system or curious about the chakra system come in and want to discuss, how can I open my third eye? How can I enhance my third eye, my 6th chakra energy? They're just curious about what their minds can do. And I think this is wonderful. It's a wonderful exploration. I think sometimes the practical approach to being able to handle that might be a little bit of a disappointment, thinking it's going to be something a little more magical. But yeah, that's another reason people come in. They just, they started to meditate or they started to explore these kinds of things. Again, because learning is so much associated with 6th chakra energy. They started to learn and process, and their mind's just like, ooh, that is cool. And they want to know more and to see how far they can take their mental ability. So as always, the chakras can get in and out of balance at any time. And of course, that primary, when the chakra was actually developing, that energy set was developing based on natural human development, that imbalances can occur. But at any time you can get in or out of balance. So the holistic strategies can be really useful, because if you find yourself out of balance, it can be resolved. It absolutely can be resolved. There's so many things you can do. And with the holistic approach, especially, because you're not limited there. You can pick a couple of these strategies. You can do all these strategies. You're really not limited. But as always, when we start to discuss the holistic strategies, the intention is important. to have that mind-body connection. That's the intention. This is where 6th chakra absolutely comes in. Your mind is organized in such a way that whatever you're doing is aligned with why you're doing it. It's a connection right there just by adding in the intention. And so with this, the intention would be to be able to learn, to understand, to process, to consider, to direct your mind to or away from something in a productive and healthy way. So anything that you're doing in these holistic strategies, keeping that in mind, which is a strategy in itself when we're talking about the 6th chakra, is going to make this much more beneficial. And so I always kind of start with the movement strategies. So any movement that you're going to do can be beneficial to the 6th chakra, and maybe a little bit in an indirect way. But let's mention yoga again, because I'll never not. The reason in the practice of yoga, which the practice of yoga is mind-body union, that is the whole intention behind the practice. The reason we do poses in yoga, the asana, the poses that we do in asana, is to remove distractions of the mind. The distractions are tension, tightness, illness, and weakness. If the body is experiencing any of those distractions, it is really hard to be able to influence the mind. They're just too sensational. They grab too much focus. They pull too much focus. And you know this, if you've been tense or tight or weak or ill, it takes a lot of attention away from the mind. So it's very hard to influence the mind under those conditions. So that's why we do that in the yoga practice. Tree pose is not yoga. Tree pose is designed to help work across the midline of the brain, establish balance and focus and concentration so that then you have a better capacity in your mind. So any movement that you do, I'm not going to go more specific beyond that, maybe a little bit. Any movement that you're going to do is going to be beneficial because it's going to help the physical condition that allows you the capacity of the mind. Now, to go a little more beyond that, anything that you do with bilateral movement, anytime you're doing something bilateral, and that's walking, that means right and left, you're crossing over the midline of the brain. You're using both sides of the body, and especially movements like twists or swings from Qigong that have that going across the midline repetition is going to be extra beneficial. The next would be breathing practices. Breathing practices are just so unbelievably beneficial, but I would say the 6th chakra is even more, and partly because the one at the top of the list is Nadi Shodhana. Nadi Shodhana is alternate nostril breathing. And I have a separate video on that I'm just going to direct you to. I'm not going to demonstrate it here. But practicing Nadi Shodhana means going across the midline of the brain. You're influencing the flow of the breath, inhaling through one nostril by using your hands to control it, exhaling out the other, inhaling on that side and exhaling out the other. And because you do that where the sinus passages come up pretty much right to the third eye, the 6th chakra, and affect the brain right there going across the midline of the brain. That breathing practice, and part of the reason it has its own video, I believe can stand alone as a meditation. I believe can resolve so many mind-body difficulties. So I strongly recommend, if you're going to use any of these holistic strategies, that you go look at that video. And if you don't want to look at mine, there's tons out there. Mine is no different really than anybody else's. But that breathing practice, to have that in your toolkit would be unbelievably beneficial, because you know that saying where we only use 10% of our brain? When you practice Nadi Shodhana, you're going back and forth across the midline. You're activating the right and left sides of the brain. The right side of the brain is often known as the side that manages emotion and feeling and creativity, where the left side is more that logic side. When you're going back and forth, you're creating this wise mind that's informed both by emotion and creativity, but also by logistics and facts or logic and facts. So you're establishing a healthier, better capacity of your own mind by practicing that breathing. So that's the number one breathing strategy. As far as meditation, all meditation, any meditation you want to do is of the 6th chakra energy. It is of the mind. If you want to do a meditation that's a concentration, where you're simply focusing on one thing, a mantra meditation, where you're repeating a sound or a quick, easy statement over and over and over, again, directly influencing the mind. Whether it's a guided meditation and you're letting someone else help you stay within and let your mind travel through that guided imagery, or you're doing your own. You're creating an imagery within your mind. Pretty much any meditation is going to be beneficial because that is of the 6th chakra energy. As far as food and tea go, not too much on the food front specifically, although anything that has a lot of antioxidants in it, this is more modern science, is going to be beneficial. Just having anything that's good for brain food. So antioxidants, and of course blueberries, any kind of rich, colorful berry is going to be good, but blueberries, blackberries, those will be top of the list, is going to be beneficial. There's been plenty of research about fatty acids, omega-3s, those kinds of things that can be really beneficial just because of again, this is more modern science, which of course I love to pair ancient and modern science together. So anything that's going to have those fatty acids is going to facilitate brain, because brain is a gelatinous mess. And the more we nourish it with good, healthy fatty acids, fish oils, seeds, those kinds of things, that's just going to function better. So that would be really good. But as far as tea, Tulsi is fantastic. That's a general, very healthy tea, but for the brain. Gotu kola is another one. Ginseng is another one. And when I talk about the teas, pretty much you can buy all these teas at the store. It's still worth doing your own individual research on this, because again, I'm giving general information here, so I don't know anybody's history. And so you just want to make sure that if it's using teas and things like that, especially in kind of higher concentrated, like real tea, compared to what you find in like the bags that have been sitting on the shelves in the store, you just want to make sure that it's right for you. But Tulsi, Gotu kola, and ginseng would probably be my top 3. As far as activities that you can do, anything with your mind, anything that's learning, anything that's concentrating, anything that's focusing, anything that sparks imagination and creativity. So art, of course, is going to be so wonderful. Reading books, learning a new topic, micro-learning. I have these chakra videos here because of micro-learning. I just think it's so wonderful and healthy that you're learning. So right now you're helping out your 6th chakra. Those things are really good. Changing your perspective. So for the imbalances, especially the blocks, like if you can't focus and you can't activate creativity and imagination, change your perspective. It doesn't even matter. So often I work with a lot of teenagers. And so, I'm often telling them, get upside down, go get upside down, go hang over the arm of your couch with your head down just for a moment, a couple minutes, not anything excessive. Get upside down, go outside, do something different, look at something different, walk away from what you're struggling, get a completely different perspective, and you'll be surprised what the mind can do. The energy will start to flow, and you'll be able to help yourself out with that block and therefore that deficiency. So activity can be anything that's going to spark creativity, imagination, learning, and of course blood flow. So getting upside down would be really useful. Going through the 5 physical senses, the sense of sight, and of course the eyes are related, because what we see in our eyes is then what we can see in our mind's eye. But our mind's eye, our 3rd eye chakra, it also has the capacity to go beyond what our eyes can actually see. We can imagine anything, which is amazing. So as far as 5 physical senses, sense of sight would be anything. You of course can do a focus on the color of indigo. Would be useful. But again, that whole change in perspective. So anytime you get your eyes to go look at something different, something unique, especially things like light and nature and anything that has kind of a more kind of 6th chakra stimulating quality. I've talked before about the pairings, and I don't know why I'm adding this right now, but when I talked about the 5th chakra last time, I talked about the strong relationship to the 3rd chakra. The 6th chakra has a strong relationship to the 2nd chakra. So joy and passion and creativity, also anything that feels like that to you is also going to be beneficial to the 6th chakra. So go look at art. Go look at something that sparks creativity and joy, and that's going to help. Sense of sight, sense of touch, not too much here because it really just doesn't have that much influence as far as specific. And again, taste as well. I think anything taste-wise that's going to be useful, again, it's more about the effect of that. So something that tastes bright and sharp. So kind of like lemon and peppermint would probably be the tastes that are most associated with that. That's not that different from the sense of smell, where the sense of smell, there are a couple that are more specific here, and I did mention this last time, is rosemary. I would say rosemary, as far as aromatherapy, is probably the most beneficial for the 6th chakra. It is just unbelievably mentally clearing. Eucalyptus, a little bit too. Peppermint can be another one. Lavender is often used, especially for excess. If there's a lot, like if you're having intrusive thoughts, you're having a lot of obsessive thoughts, lavender can be really beneficial for that. And then things like grapefruit, and then I mentioned lemon, and then bergamot. And bergamot partly is more because of the mental health benefits from it, which we can't separate these. Everything's related. So bergamot is an oil that is aromatherapy that's often used for both anxiety and depression, as is lavender. So those would be very beneficial for the sense of smell. And the sense of sound, again, this one isn't necessarily directly related to the 6th chakra, but listen to chanting. Listen to like Sanskrit word chanting, like Om. There's wonderful tracks out there that are set to kind of ambient music, which is another sound. Ambient sounds would be useful. But listening to chanting, Sanskrit chanting, mantra chanting could be really useful for the 6th chakra. And then the last piece I always add in here are the journal prompts. And the journal prompts are just to help, again, organize your mind. And this, again, being the chakra of the mind, is probably the most beneficial. And so especially when someone's having a lot of excess, they're having a lot of intrusive thoughts, a lot of distracting thoughts. One of the best ways to manage that is to do what is called a brain dump, where you simply go and write out your stream of consciousness. And that happens beneficially in an elemental way, where you're taking thoughts, which technically are air in space, and you're putting them in earth form, you're writing them down. And your eyes are the element of fire, and so they transfer that energy, they transform that energy from air and space into earth. And when that happens, there's something about your mind-body system that understands it's there, and it no longer tries to hold it. So as far as journal prompts, simply brain dump, where it's not necessarily a prompt, it's just you're writing everything down, can be useful. To do specific prompts, it would be beneficial to do things that spark your creativity. So and kind of just get your mind thinking in a more open and productive way. So writing out your perfect day. Imagine what your perfect day is. Start with everything. Use all 5 physical senses. Go hour per hour throughout your day and help your mind spark that creativity of what that would look like. It's going to be very inspirational to write that out. Writing out, if you solved problems in your life, maybe pick one individually or 3 individually and write them out. If I solved this problem in my life, what would my life look like? What would be the steps that I could use to solve that problem? And that helps remove blocks and barriers to your mind when you get stuck on things and you're just reeling over and over and not moving forward and not productive. So anything that is creativity related, of course, do freestyle writing, any kind of creative writing. You can get a lot of prompts off the internet for that. Just even like a prompt to start writing a little bit of fiction, a little bit of story can be really useful. But all these just start getting the mind to form different neural pathways to do things differently. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this information useful. I also have a yoga practice that goes with the 6th chakra, and I have now videos on all up to the 6th chakra, and then next time will be the 7th, which I will talk more about the pairing up and some other really just interesting facts about the whole chakra system. So thank you for watching.